When the sun sets, the undead awaken. To slake their hunger, they feed upon the herd of unaware mortals. Right beneath our noses, the kindred clash against their rivals as they vie for control of the city of San Francisco. Are you strong enough to cheat final death and see another night? Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game from Renegade Game Studios.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Vampire Wednesdays. I am Sarah Erickson, Director of Sales and Marketing here at Renegade Game Studios, and I am excited to be joined by Matt Hyra, Senior Awesome Designer of Amazingness, including Vampire the Masquerade Rivals expandable card game, which is what we're chatting about tonight. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing pretty well, actually.
Excellent. And everyone in chat, welcome. Thank you for being here. And please, as always, if you have questions during this chat, you are welcome to post those in chat, and we will be excited to be watching that and answering any questions you might have. So let's jump into it. We have some exciting stuff to chat about. Last weekend, we did Renegade Con. And you were joined, you actually joined us on some panels.
10 days ago, I guess, at this point, right? Yeah.
Okay. It was a little while ago. I forgot. Last week just kind of didn't happen. We were all recovering a little bit. So yeah, Renegade Con, we actually spoiled some stuff. It was very exciting. Do you want to chat about that a little bit? I have lots of announcements and things to talk about, but we'll get to those in a little bit. I can't wait to talk about what we're talking about.
just to get some online, just to get some responses here. Let's, in case anyone didn't hear, we announced the first expansion, correct, on that video, but we haven't on Vampire Wednesdays, so we'll do it here as well for those who haven't seen it. So we announced that in order to get a first expansion out, in the middle of next year, so that you didn't have to wait too long. We had to get started on expansion clans. So we announced that our first expansion is going to be the Tremere versus Thin Bloods. And the reason that we chose Tremere is during the Kickstarter, that was, we asked people to just, hey, what clans would you like to see in the upcoming expansions, and Tremere was by far the most popular. So that's why we took it out of the poll, because we didn't want to have 75% of the people all choose Tremere. So we just decided to go ahead and spoil that we had already started work on it. And in fact, we're coming down to we're actually almost done with it, which is nice. So that's a good thing. So
yeah, Matt, you've been busy. So Matt's been working on this first expansion that we expect to have out early next year. So you won't have to wait too long after you get your big amazing box of all of the core set and everything else that comes with that. Should be super fun. And so you said Tremere was one that people were very excited about. Lots of requests during our Kickstarter. So that one obviously makes a lot of sense. Why Thin Bloods? I'm excited about Thin Bloods, but where did that come from?
Well, it seemed like a good yin-yang with the Tremere. Since the Tremere are the masters of blood sorcery, their blood is super powerful. They have rituals that they use blood for. They are just, with a discipline name like blood sorcery, you can expect that they have lots of ways of manipulating blood. And so we thought, well, what's a good counterpoint to that? So it was like, let's do the Thin Bloods, because their blood is super weak. It barely contains any vampiric quality to it. So it just seemed like a good, not necessarily matchup, because it's not intended that you only play Tremere versus Thin Blood. I suspect most people will play a game or two of Tremere versus Thin Blood and then incorporate those cards into the rest of their sets and mix and match, build their own custom decks, things like that. but it does make for an interesting dichotomy of powerful blood versus we have to scrape together, our alchemy and whatnot to actually get some use out of our blood and things like that. So
that's going to be exciting. So we announced during our panel during Renegade Con, which everyone can go and watch if they'd like to, that was Big News Showdown, I think. Anyway, so it was during the vampire panel.
Yeah, during the panel on Sunday, so like 9 days ago.
Yeah, so and we posted that last Wednesday for everyone in the update in case you missed it.
Oh, cool.
And so we announced that we were doing those 2 clans. Did we tell everyone what the name of this upcoming expansion is?
I think we did, but why don't we surprise everybody with showing something here that we didn't reveal or show at the panel.
Ooh, everybody here is a little bit special. I like it.
Yeah, everyone here gets to see something fun that no one else has seen yet.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we should show them the cover.
Boom.
I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So, in case you hadn't heard as well, the expansion subtitle, it's still Rivals, but it's the Blood and Alchemy expansion. So right there, you can see that the Thin Blood. One thing that the Thin Bloods have, at least in Vampire 5th Edition, is they tend to get branded by their elder vampires with a little crescent moon. So these are the 2 leaders, at least the leaders of the Precon deck. Once you get your own deck going, you can have anyone be the leader of your clan or of your deck. But we've got a Thin Blood there with a little crescent moon mark to identify him as a Thin Blood. Not all Thin Bloods have it. A lot of Thin Bloods are so out of vampire culture that no one would even bother to put a brand on them. But a slightly more powerful Thin Blood is someone who might have a little bit of vampiric ability. So you gotta put a brand on those guys to keep them in check. And then we've got a Tremere there. And Tremere are, they kind of have they're into ritual, and part of that ritual are little things like the feathers and the necklace and the arcane symbols and things like that. But she is also has a ring of blood around her, and she is commanding the blood like a puppeteer. So that is something that we want to do. And you can also see that the Thin Blood character there has a little what is that, a test tube full of some crazy substance. So the Thin Bloods, they need to pool their blood and then mix in crazy chemicals and then drink it or throw it on their victims, whatever, however they're going to use it. That's the alchemy. Their blood is not really very vampiric, so they mix it with weird chemicals, and the things that they can use are anything like baking soda and Code Red Mountain Dew and coffee grounds.
I'm pretty sure that my husband had that
shots
for breakfast this morning.
Did you? Okay. Yeah.
Code Red Mountain Dew makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
And then if you look closely, you can see just beyond his thumb there in the picture is a little drug paraphernalia spoon. So we're not saying that the characters are druggies, but sometimes their alchemy experiments kind of end up working a little bit like drugs. So it's a little bit like that.
Interesting. Yeah, blood and alchemy. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
So now, while this is almost ready, oh good, people like the art. That's awesome. So so one of the things, this expansion is almost done. It's going to be probably sent to the factory, shortly, because it takes a while. Oh, Sarah, closeted Thin Blood. So, just as a little thing, we're just curious. We're just curious what sort of things, and if people want to comment, we just want to hear your predictions. Like, what is a prediction that you have about the Thin Bloods? Okay. And then, or if you want to talk about what's a prediction you have about the Tremere. So that would be just something for the people in the chat to type about. If they want to show their total World of Darkness mastery, and I'm not talking about discipline powers, I'm talking about look and feel a little bit, you know, how is it going to play? Just things like that, you know, just as something.
When we think about, oh yeah, Swarm deck, okay, interesting.
Swarm deck, there you go.
So that's kind of what you're looking for when you're thinking about
that's
other
a good,
card games.
Questionable Decisions has made a reasonable post. So you got to change your name to Reasonable Post for next time.
What other types of decks do you think about in TCG lands? Like I think about like really fast little creatures, like the Swarm deck. I would put that in that category. Or maybe like big bruisers that take a while to get out would be sort of another category of things. Or maybe something that's a little bit sneaky, like you're messing with your opponents a whole bunch. What other kind of tropes do you think of as TCG decks?
Was that for me or for
you? Yeah. Just sort of like as a designer, what sort of groupings do you think about?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think Vampire Rivals is a different animal than most trading card games. So most of the time in trading card games, your permanents, your creatures, your troops are usually very expendable, and that's just not the case in Rivals. I'm trying to think. I mean, there are games, you know, there are some games where characters don't get removed from the board constantly. Like Magic, creatures are usually dead within a turn, right? They either get counterspelled, nuked, or die in combat within a turn, right? But other games, and like Rivals, your characters are going to be around for a while, and because of torpor, they even come back. So it's hard to really use the tropes of trading card games here, but there are some things. There are Swarm decks, there are big guy decks, there are wall decks, but I don't really think of them in those terms. I look at the disciplines, I look at just characteristics of the clan as a whole. You know, players may have noticed that we're not doing what was I trying to say? I lost my train of thought. Whatever. We're not. Yeah. Sorry. So we're not trying to focus a particular clan towards any particular play type. And once you mix clans together, you're going to be coming up with your own thing anyway. So this game currently, like, the disciplines will help you out a lot, but a lot of times your character's ability is based on their disciplines instead of actually using specific disciplines in their ability, right? So for instance, we don't need to have if a character has an ability like +1 influence for each retainer attached, we don't have to preface that by saying you have to have presence to use that, because they already have presence, right? So it's just, a lot of times their disciplines inform their ability, and then the 3 different disciplines of the clan kind of inform the total play pattern. I actually like the word play pattern a little bit better than deck type, because
I agree.
Especially, I like that. Especially here where you may, you know, you've got 7 vampires in your faction deck, but you're probably, it's probably going to be, you always get to choose your leader, but your next 2 or 3 characters that combination of characters is going to change game to game. So you're not going to have, and I would say there's more interaction between characters in your coterie than there are in standard trading card games, right? There's more going on. There's more group activities. There's more group attacks. There's blocking. There's all that. I think your coterie is a little more cohesive than in most trading card games, I would say. So
I do like some of these comments I'm seeing in chat, though. It's pretty interesting.
Coyote knows knows their Tremere, talking about spending blood for blood sorcery, possibly a way to spend blood to make prestige. We'll see if that comes true. We're not saying anything yet. We're still looking forward to, the game actually coming out and getting it into everyone's hands. But because we talked about the next expansion, Blood and Alchemy, over at Renegade Con, we wanted to make sure to give Vampire Wednesdays that information and a little bit more by seeing the box. So there you go. Those are some good.
Nice.
Those are some good predictions, and I think a couple of those might even be true. So might come to pass. So we shall see. We shall see.
That's exciting. You guys will have to come back and check future Vampire Wednesdays.
So speaking of plans, awesome. Sarah, do you want to talk a little bit about what else is happening right now on an ongoing basis?
Yeah. So if you were part of our Kickstarter or pre-order, then we wanted to hear from you as our founding members to find out what clans you would be excited to see in the future. And of course, as Matt explained, we wanted to get that first expansion going, but for future expansions, we really wanted to hear from you because there are so many interesting and deep clan choices that we honestly were not exactly sure what made the most sense to work on next. So before we sent Matt on a wild goose chase to just start working on every clan possible, we decided we would send out a survey to our backers. And if you did not get that, you should have gotten an email from us to the email address you used to sign up for either the Kickstarter or to the late pledge. And with a link in there to go and vote and tell us what your favorite clan was. And there is a list of options there. So we got some feedback, and we'll be posting more of these updates as we go through it and we get some more answers from you guys. But we have had a thin blood promotional card. I like it. But we have had quite a few of our backers already answer. So we wanted to post some of those results. They're not final yet, but we wanted to give you guys a little sneak peek on that.
So what you're seeing on your screen right now is the current voting. And we want you guys to try to guess which 3 clans are in a statistical dead heat, margin of error of 2%, obviously, just like in politics. But we want you guys to guess. Who do you think? Okay, so currently one of the clans is in the lead at 27.2%. So who do you think red is? So just post like red, blah. Who is it? Is it the Banu Hakim, Nosferatu, Gangrel, the Sombra, the Ministry, Hekada, or the Kadif? And then choose also who do you think the green is? And then finally, who do you think the orange is? Because man, those guys are, I'm sure they're gonna, I'm sure that the lead changes every 3 or 4 days as we're getting about 50 responses a day, so far. Of course, we got about 500 on day 1, right?
We did. Of course, a lot of people opened that email right away and voted. They're really excited about that. So if you haven't voted yet, please go vote. We really want to hear from you. You are the most important group of people that already love and care about this game. So we need to hear what you're excited about. So yeah, we have some pretty good guesses here in chat. It's interesting.
We do. Okay, nice. I guess should we post the color
only with the asterisk that this isn't over yet. So again, we're not saying these are final numbers.
Yeah, they're not.
They aren't. Like, we're watching these and they are changing. Yeah. So we'll post the final ones, but this is really good information.
Don't go tell your friends that, your vote is going to be wasted, because there's only 3 clans that are currently in a virtual tie for first place here. And as you saw with Blood and Alchemy, we like to do 2 clans per expansion. So right now we need a 4th place. So definitely some other clan is gonna squeak in there, I suppose. Right?
Yeah, and even just a couple votes are gonna change these numbers.
For sure. Yeah, I would
Because
say that,
we still have quite a few people.
every vote is about a 0.1%, I would guess. Roughly, right, Sarah?
Not
Something
quite
like
that much.
that.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
every single person
obviously it's
voted.
relative, but I'm just saying if you, for instance, added your vote to the orange, it might tick up to, 0.9%, 25.9. So obviously
Yeah.
it needs to come up to 100 at some point. So something else has to give. Whatever. We're not here to do math. We're here to talk. So
Matt spends all day doing math, so this is
sadly.
the fun part.
All right. So
Awesome.
do we want to show off which clans are which right now?
Yes, we'll see.
Okay, let's do that.
Which vampire clans are
let's
excited.
show off the keys so everyone can find. Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right.
Nice.
So once again, questionable decisions should be renamed to reasonable guesses or something. Yes. In the lead currently is the Nosferatu, just barely beating out La Sombra, and the Gangrel are clawing their way up from third place. Who knows where they'll end up? Do you get it? Clawing their way?
Very cute.
Good. Just
nice.
making sure everyone's awake here. Oh, Para had had red as La Sombra. So anyway, yeah. But yes, Para did guess the top three, so that's pretty good. Now, naturally, the Nosferatu and Gangrel are probably pretty popular because they are in Vampire 5th edition in the core book, right? So there you go. So maybe now that you guys see these numbers, see these, maybe we should just ask people in a similar vein to what do you predict is going to come out of the Thin Blood and the Blood and Alchemy set. What would you like to see amongst these clans? So we've got the Nosferatu. They are the sewer-dwelling, sort of the humane. They're ugly, sewer-dwelling, ugly. Except to their moms, of course. No, it's the their Nosferatu blood turns them ugly. They may have started out beautiful as a beautiful person, but their cursed blood turns them into a horrible creature. Oh, it's so tragic, So what do people want to see out of the Nosferatu? These are the sewer-dwelling animal. They have animalism, potence, I believe, yeah. And what's the last one? Fortitude, I forget. So what do people want to see? This is just your chance to just say, hey, I want to see whatever, I want to see something cool out of Nosferatu, or I play a Nosferatu in my role-playing game, and wouldn't it be cool if there was a Nosferatu who could do this? This is your chance.
Secrecy for La Sombra and Nosferatu. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's not bad. Certainly, someone, as a sewer dweller, they're able to move about without being seen easier than some other clans. Nosferatu, I think it'd be cool if they could send the calls to the street, and give them some bonuses. Some thralls to the street.
Thralls to the street.
There you go. Thralls. Okay. Interesting. Right. So because they are more humane, they do, in the literature, in the source books, they do cultivate relationships with humans because they are missing out on all of the social aspects that the beautiful vampires get to participate in, because normally humans just run screaming from the Nosferatu because they are the ugly ones. If you've not seen the movie Nosferatu from way long ago, you should check it out. I mean, they're hideous creatures. So but they do have heart, and they do wish that they could have human interaction. So yeah, something to do with thralls is probably a reasonable way to go. Let's talk about second place currently, the La Sombra. So La Sombra is just an amalgamation of the shadows, I believe is what it is, because the La Sombra have these Oblivion is an interesting discipline they have. Basically, they just manipulate the shadows as tendrils to come and do their dirty work and things like that. So they have a lot of spooky things they can do. So if anyone has any cool ideas for La Sombra, here we are. We're just asking people to just do my job for me, right? So
Matt's had a hard day, needs some help.
No, we're just saying, hey, I know players like to have a little bit of input, and so we just want to see what people have to say. Maybe our player base wants really, really intricate, kind of, Elysium type, social events during their vampire games and very little combat. Like, tell us that. Some of it, obviously, if you're a Brujah fan, you probably like combat, but if no one ends up playing the Brujah, then maybe we should tailor the game to how people like to play. If people like very intricate social dynamics and things like that, we can adjust over time. Even the Brujah don't need to go bash people's skulls all the time. They can write poetry and take to politics as good as anyone else.
So also, we're working really hard this week in particular, but we've been working for a while on our Vampire Rifles website, which will be really helpful because once we actually can get the game into your hand and you can play it and try everything out, it'll be really interesting for us to have everybody go onto that website, create your profile, and then choose which your favorite clan is. And you can change that whenever you want. It's just part of your profile. But that'll be really helpful and interesting to us. And then you can also log games that you play. We'll have organized play set up in there as well. So if you want to track some of your games and have little tournaments with people in your bubble, there will be lots of options for that type of thing in there. So that should be really helpful to Matt, and then also just fun for you guys. So that's coming soon. We'll have more information about the website in not too long.
Cool. Yeah, so Coyote says, La Sombra and Nosferatu are lords of the shadows, give them secrecy. Okay, that can happen. And just like little bits of, like the Nosferatu are just better at moving about the city secretly even, things like that. Questionable decisions, or let's see. Sapphire Parlor, Shadow Mastery could be particularly fun for ranged attacks or something, tendrils from a distance. Yeah, so I think by ranged attacks, you're not talking about guns. You're talking about snaking shadows, like the old movie The Abyss. Reaching out and and snacking on people. That's pretty cool. And then yeah, so questionable decision. They get bonuses for secrecy. Yeah, secrecy is what protects your home. It protects it by making people discard cards to overcome your secrecy, which makes it a little bit more difficult to continuously attack you in your haven. Your haven is not an ivory tower, 30 feet in the sky where no one can get to you. It's just way harder to get to you. And havens, by the way, are not like a clubhouse where vampires hang out. They're just a little occasional meeting place for your coterie to go. But normally, characters in World of Darkness, they'll move out and do their thing. So, and we simulate that with moving to the streets. So, yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, let's talk about the gangrel, perhaps. The gangrel. They are the animalistic, the feral. Yeah, they actually prefer living in out of town, outside of the town. But of course, a city park is a perfect hunting ground for a gangrel because they can hide in the trees and jump down on their unsuspecting prey and rip them to shreds with their nasty claws. So, do we have? This
reminds me a lot of my 8th grade English teacher. She
really
had really scary claws.
Your teacher would climb up on the jungle gym and attack people. Is that what it means?
That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but she definitely had the claws to be a gangrel. She was role playing all the time.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, gangrel. So what kind of things do people expect to see
or
from
want to see out of the gangrel?
Or want to see?
Because yeah, it's the 3rd most popular clan, but Maybe not.
For
maybe
now.
Not. For now, you're right. Well, let's talk about, so the Nosferatu and the Gangrel have animalism, the animalism discipline in common. The La Sombra have dominion. We already talked, or dominate. We already talked about oblivion, the shadow tendrils, and potence. That's interesting. So let's look a little bit. It looks like there's kind of a tie currently for 4th place, and then a tie for 5th place, let's call it. So the purple is the Ministry. Looks like they're slightly ahead of Hecata, who are the ocean blue. The Kadif, yeah, they're in last place, but they're not too far behind. Oh, Hecata, sorry. Oh yeah, Banu Hakim. So the Banu Hakim, they're also blood, sorcery, celerity, and obfuscate. So they could have been a good match with Tremere, but maybe not. All right, so let's see. The Ministry, they are obfuscate, presence, and Protean, actually. And Protean is shared by the Gangrel, which interestingly enough.
Do we have any in the core set that have Protean?
No, we don't. Yeah,
I don't remember seeing that there.
There's no Protean, there's no blood sorcery, there's no oblivion, and there's no animalism. So
that'll be interesting.
Yeah, so right now, yeah, the shared animalism between Nosferatu and Gangrel is interesting. The Sombra having oblivion, actually the Banu Hakim also have, oh no, not them. Who else? Oh, the Hecata also have oblivion. Yeah, that's right. So Hecata are kind of they're in the light blue. So interesting. Okay.
That's some good stuff there. So yeah, we're gonna be sharing the final version of this and letting you know in the future which ones we're going to be doing in what order when. But this could very, very easily change.
Oh yeah. Now the last day is the end of the month, right? Halloween is the last day. That's fitting. I like that.
It's actually the 30th. So Halloween is, of course, the 31st, but we are getting close. Yeah. Right. So we've got until next Friday, because we know you're all going to be out doing something socially distant but fun.
Right. This would have been a great Halloween year, with Halloween being on a Saturday. That's like the perfect night for Halloween, but guess what? It's not going to happen a lot of places.
Well, we still all at least can maybe watch some Halloween movies. Do you have any Halloween movies on your list for next weekend?
Yeah, well, we're going to watch, actually we've been watching a couple of scary movies already.
Nice.
Some scary, not so much, just Halloween themed, like, because we basically, my wife and I just watch like a movie a night, almost. But we watched Cabinet. She hates horror movies, so I am just barely able to. I have to warn her when there's some blood coming up and stuff. But we watched Cabin in the Wood. We watched Cabin in the Woods. Last night we watched The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I love that movie. Oh, I should watch that this next weekend. That would be fun.
We're going to watch Hubie Halloween, the new Adam Sandler on Netflix movie. And then
you have to tell me how that is. That looks good.
I think I'm gonna wait and on Halloween show her Jeepers Creepers, which is a low budget, independent, but pretty kind of messed up movie. Yeah, it gets to you.
I've not seen that one.
One of my favorites is Angel Heart, but it's a little racy to actually promote here. So Desiree will.
Too late for that.
Can just bleep that out from this. I'm just kidding. So.
All right, cutting Matt off now.
Yeah, cut me off. So speaking of Gangrel, not really. Questionable decision says for Gangrel, ambush style tactics, maybe ways to single out vampires in a group during a fight. Yeah, that's like
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
pack hunting, you know. When the wolves go on a hunt, they you know, they gotta separate the weak from the from whoever they're going after, and you know, separate them and then attack them from all sides. So that's pretty cool. What else? Here we go. Angus says gangrel are typically loners or pack mates. So maybe something where certain gangrel get bonuses for being in a party by themselves, and others get bonuses for being in parties of 2 or more. Because of the freedom to change parties, it may require restriction on loners that they can't party up. Sure. Yeah, you could simulate a real party, like a real party attack, by actually exhausting additional characters in the party. So instead of, you know, and that could give you bonuses, right? It could be you designate one attacker as normal, but then maybe you have a combat card you flip up that says, you know, exhaust any number of characters in the party to get +1 attack for each you do. So in that way, you could have a real group attack that really feels like a group attack because everyone is really ganging up in there. So that's something we could look at.
That sounds like fun. Awesome.
Oh, and Angus warns me that Jeepers Creepers could cause permanent damage to my wife, who doesn't like horror movies, but it might. That's why I'm saving it for Halloween, because after that she's not going to want to see any more horror movies. So I better save the worst one for last. So
I think
she did enjoy Cabin in the Woods, which I think is awesome. So anyway,
it's a good surprise. I like that one too.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think we spoiled way too much stuff this week already, so I think we're gonna.
We do apologize that we're not spoiling things from Blood and Alchemy other than the cover, because guess what? We still want to get the hype going for the initial release, and you know, some people are going to come upon this knowing absolutely nothing about the game. You know, they might see it in a month or 2 or even 3 just searches for the game online, and then might see this and wonder whether to buy the core game. And so we don't want to distract them from learning about the core game. So we're probably not going to talk about any of the expansion stuff for a while, I would say. We'll talk about it when the poll closes, though, right, Sarah?
Yeah, so we'll be letting everybody know once we're done with that what the results were, and giving people a little bit of preview into what we're doing next year. But like Matt said, for the most part, we're going to be doing some fun stuff with the core set, so that when you get it, you actually have some things you can play around with. Like I said, we're still working on the website. That'll be really fantastic, give you lots of cool things you can do once you actually get your stuff. And yeah, we're moving forward with all that. Our factory's working on it. Everything looks really good. I don't expect any humongous delays. Nothing disastrous has happened. We're looking at a January release at pretty much the latest. Like, everything looks like it's going along and should be good. So we're excited. We're really happy you guys are here. We appreciate all your wonderful comments. We always like to hear from you. If you have anything else you'd like to tell us, please go check out Discord. There's always good discussion going on over there. You can find a link to that at vampirerivals.com. If you don't know where our Discord is yet, I know it's kind of hard to search in there, so that should help. And yeah, we're going to be back next week as well, right before Halloween, so it should be a fun show. Definitely would love to have you join us for that. And yeah, have a wonderful week. Anything else, Matt? Are you good?
I think we're good.
All right, no more spoilers.
All right.
All right, thank you everyone. Have fun, and we will talk to you soon. See you next week.
Bye.